Hello and welcome to Introduction to Reading Humans. That's what I call this, right? Introduction to Reading Humans. You can all download a practical introduction to reading humans. Nice. You can all download the manual if you want. I'm just going to refer to it a little bit just to keep me on track, but more or less, I'm just going to tell you about psychosomatic therapy and how I came about and what it means. And we're going to talk a little bit about the inner family and my mentor, who I learned from. Now, there are two mentors I learned from. And if anybody hasn't read the article on my website, there is free introductory sessions article, like a blog article, where I introduce you to both my mentors, Carol and Herman. But Herman is the founder of psychosomatic therapy. He is the one who came up with it. He was blind for 20 years. He was developing all these ideas, or rather connecting all of these ideas, because he studied kinesiology. He studied the chakra system. He was from India and later lived in New Zealand and later lived in Australia and lived a very long life into his 80s. And when he passed away in 2017, most of psychosomatic therapy stopped being taught around the world. As of today, I believe there are only 3 or 4 teachers. I'm not sure about Australia. There could be 1 or 2 more in Australia because that's where he lived and that's where the psychosomatic college is right now. In the article, I believe I linked the college as well. So that's where I learned everything. I learned from the Australian psychosomatic college, but I didn't learn it in Australia. I learned it in Canada because I was in Canada, and Kerman would come to Canada nearly every year. I was working with Carol. So Carol was originally the person who introduced me to psychosomatic therapy, but Herman would come every year and we worked together quite closely for several months. And I traveled with them. I traveled to Sedona, to Las Vegas, to other places, Regina, Saskatchewan, Vancouver. There were many different places we traveled, and we taught psychosomatic therapy. And I actually worked at the head office of psychosomatic therapy in Canada for 6 years. And right now, Carol, the person I work with in Canada very, very closely, she's teaching psychosomatic therapy in Costa Rica, but it's a completely different layout. She's teaching it as a retreat. So you go there, you stay there for 10 days, you learn all of the, hands, feet, face, whatever in 10 days. It's very intensive. It's about 12 or 13 hours a day. She feeds you really good food during it, and it's a nice little retreat. But what I do is I've taken that, the learning, the teaching, that's very heavy and very expensive and very, intense, because it's 12, 13 hours a day, every day for 10 days, just for like the basic level. And I've broken it down into small little light bites. So this is one of those bites. What else am I supposed to tell you? So in the manual, I've also included a photo from my manual that I received in, 2010 or maybe before that. The old manual where Herman explains what psychosomatic therapy is. And I just took a screenshot, like a little image of that. I threw it in this manual so that you can know exactly what it is. And the last chapter of the manual is also Herman's biography, written by Herman in his original manual from before 2010. So I just copied it word for word because I wanted to make sure that you can get the flavor and how he thought and how he interacted with us. He was a very interesting person, very different person than anybody I'd ever met before. But the stuff that he taught me really completely changed my life. And for those people who are in autonomy, I would almost say that psychosomatic therapy changed my life even more than autonomy, but I would have never been able to be in autonomy had I not taken the psychosomatic therapy to heart, because I didn't even have enough courage to be self-employed before that. And so stepping out of that, when I met Carol, it was my first foray into freelancing. So not working a 9-to-5 job. And that was back 2009, I believe. So I've grown and learned ever since. But then in reality, when I was working for Carol, I only had 1 client. So I really had a job, I had to really do a lot of inner work in order to remove the programming that was stopping me from believing that I could run my own business, that I could be successful, that I could do whatever I wanted, that I could live in Mexico in this beautiful veranda office, you know. And I have a lot of laundry. I'm not going to show you guys, but maybe next time. But yes, so yeah, what am I talking about? What is psychosomatic therapy? So I'm sure that most of the people in this crowd know that psyche is the mind stuff and soma is the body stuff. I'm gonna let this, oh yeah, I should know that Tim is on it and not worry about the door. So psyche is the mind and soma is the body, and your psyche and your soma are constantly interacting and speaking to each other and communicating with each other. But a lot of the time, and especially because of our society created this place. Hi, Paola. Our society created a place where we are told to rely on other people. We're supposed to look up to doctors, to lawyers, to teachers, to bosses. You know, you're always supposed to defer your inner power to someone else and give them the power. They will make the decision. But what's the difference between that and being a child? Essentially, if all your power is always given away to somebody else, then you're essentially a child. Please, ma'am, can I have some more, please? You know, that's not going to serve you. That's not going to allow your inner light to really shine. So in these six sessions, I want to make sure that I give you enough information so that you can look inside and see where are those blockages, where are those little bits that are still holding you back, and allow that pillar of light to shine. Okay, today's not pillar of light. That's another one of these thoughts, but I'm touching on it. It's the most important thing, that light that is your birthright. You were born shining your light really brightly, and programming from your parents, from your grandparents, from other friends, from school friends, from school, from the television, from newspapers, from everything you read and you're exposed to, that all of this programming is there to keep you down, to hold you in place. A lot of us in this room have studied John Taylor Gatto and the unschooling and how the schooling system was created in order to make obedient slaves, not effective human beings. But what is it to be an effective human being? How can you be an effective human being? How can you shine your light and really know and trust yourself to be able to say, I am. You know, what does it mean to be I am? Well, in order to be in the position of I am, you have to go back inside, go back to the beginning, go back to when you have bought into this other programming, these other messages. And for example, if your mother was an extrovert and you're an introvert, no advice of hers would actually work for you, like life advice. Like I had this issue with a friend, my best friend, when I was young, a teenager. You know, she was a bit of an introvert and I was a bit of an extrovert, and I would like dance around the streets and talk to anybody and you know, have all these friends and all this. And she would like think 3 times before she talked to somebody. To saying to her, hey, you know what? It's not a big deal. Just like talk to this guy. Oh, you think this guy is cute? Just go talk to him. That didn't work for her because her body would like rebel against that advice, because that advice wasn't for her. She did not have the personality or whatever. I'm actually much more of an introvert now in my 50s than I ever was in my teens. And back then I thought it was very foreign to be an introvert. But now I can fully understand it because I've gone all the way to the other side and back, you know. But so knowing that other people's advice might not work for you, there's only one person whose advice really, really works for you, and that's you, right? So I know this was about reading humans, but this is probably the most important thing that I can teach you, is to take that look inside and think about your inner self. Right? Every one of us has the inner child, the little 4-year-old child inside us. Every one of us is responsible for that child, you know? And when I say you're responsible for your inner child, I mean, you have to feed it on time. You have to make sure it's got clean clothes. You got to make sure it's got education. You have to make sure it's got play, you know, and all of these responsibilities that you have towards yourself, towards your own inner child. And a lot of us ignore the inner child and think of the things that we were told, make lots of money, buy a fancy car, and do all these things. But in reality, the thing, and actually, I'll tell you a secret, the inner child is your key to manifestation. If you have a really good relationship with the little baby inside you, the little 4-year-old child inside you, you can really allow yourself to grow. Because think about it, if that little baby has a really good mother and a really good father that are appropriate and who think the way it does and have the same talents, abilities, those two people, those two parents can really raise that child to be a lot more powerful than you ever were, right? Because and it doesn't matter, your parents could have been the best parents in the world, but there's still like a little bit of a disconnect. So if you really like engage in the inner parents, you can be your friend, you can be best friends with your external parents, but in reality, after 20 years old, it is your responsibility. It behooves you to raise yourself. So if you really started thinking about about yourself, like how can I make my day best? How can I raise my inner child the best today? What does he or she need right now? What's the most important thing? Are we lacking in nutrition? Are we lacking in play? What is it? Because if it was a 4-year-old child, like, say your inner child has something that it wants or it requests from you, it wants to express itself in a certain way or whatever. A lot of us just say, oh, be quiet and move on with our day with trying to work for the money, to get the money, to get the strength to go to work, to get the food, to get the strength, to get the money, I didn't say that right, but you know what I'm talking about. It's this circle, this cycle of working. But what if you open the door to your inner child? Okay, let's go back to psychosomatic therapy, because I'm really passionate about the inner family and creating that inner mother and father. And I'm sure I'm going to be talking about it some more. But what does psychosomatic therapy have to do with the inner family, and how can we connect the two? So psychosomatic therapy, it really is the study of habitual muscle patterns. So habitual muscle patterns are so essentially micro-expression. Have you guys ever seen that show Lie to Me a long time ago about the doctor who was studying micro-expressions, and he could tell if you were lying or what were you really thinking based on, he would like video the person's face while they were answering questions, and then he would slow it down to really, really slow, and then he would see the muscles move before they answered the question. And that would be the actual indicator of their actual thoughts before the question was answered. Anybody familiar with? And there was also a famous, no, there's also a famous psychologist who studied the same. So micro-expression is me going, when I'm like see garbage, like crinkling my nose, right? Or me going like this when I see something I don't like. Those are micro-expressions, and it might even last like a millisecond, and then I'm fine. I don't care, And so if you're not paying attention to the micro-expressions, you can lose a lot of communication. But if a micro-expression is repeated, like, for example, if you're a person who's very critical and you're like, oh my God, why are they doing this? What is he doing? What is he doing? If you do that all day long, all day long, all day long, all day long, it's going to be 10,000 micro-expressions in these muscles. And then eventually your forehead's going to look like this, because you're constantly thinking those thoughts, right? So when we're looking at another person and we see a certain expression, the easiest way of face reading, so this is like the basic way, is to try to put your face in that position. Like say you're standing in the grocery line and somebody's looking like this, right? So then put yourself in that position. Like, are they grumpy or what's going on, right? So like maybe this is upset or uncomfortable or something, but this is more like grief. This is more like sadness. You can feel it in your face. Like, so, sorry, did you have a question, Paula?
No. I'm sorry.
Okay. It's just Zoom sometimes does weird things. So if you put your face in that muscle configuration, it'll give you an insight to the feeling that person might be experiencing or habitually experiencing. A lot of older people have the grief lines really deep, or they have this, this doesn't necessarily mean critical. There are other things in the face, and we'll be definitely going deeper into it when we get into the classes. But this kind of thing is maybe troubled, or maybe critical, or maybe disturbed, or maybe a little bit annoyed. There are all sorts of things. And then once we see the forehead, then we look at eyeballs, we look at the nose, we look at the cheekbones, and we see where the muscles are positioned. We can glean a lot more information from all that than just like the one muscle. So you can never read the one particular muscle. So how do we read the muscle systems? Well, first, we know micro expressions are the same all around the world. The pygmies in Africa, the Amazonian tribes, every single type of person has the same micro expressions. So even if the language is completely different, even if they didn't grow up in society or in the type of buildings or whatever that you did, their micro expressions are universal. So that's one thing. And the other thing that in this course we'll be talking about a lot is the chakra system. The chakra system is used in 150 or more modalities around the world. So there are all sorts of places where the chakra system comes up. And Herman definitely connected the chakra system to micro expressions and to kinetic tension. So tension in the body, right? Through the chakra system. So basically, if you're looking at the face, the base chakra is at the bottom and the crown chakra is at the top, where it always is, right? And all the other chakras are in between. And for example, the eyebrows are the throat chakra. So when we're talking about this kind of expression, when the person's making this kind of face, right? So that's right in the throat chakra, right in the throat chakra. And it's between the third eye and the heart, right? Because the throat chakra is always between the third eye and the heart. So if the eyebrows are the throat chakra, then every kind of movement in the eyebrows or every habitual pattern inside the eyebrows has to do with how you express yourself. Sorry, I need water. Are there any questions? That's a good time to ask.
No questions for now. Thank you.
Did I lose myself? I'm going to check the manual. Give me a second. Oh, right. You are your own best healer. Did I mention that? I think I kind of touched on that. Because like whenever you give your power away to somebody else, that person can only do a certain part of your healing. And I'm not saying not to get a massage, or I'm saying not to go to a chiropractor. Absolutely do those things. But understand that after the massage or after the chiropractor, your healing continues to be your responsibility. That chiropractor or the masseuse, they go home and they forget about you. You're no longer in their lives after that hour session. But you are still here with that spine. So if you want to do, that massage to last, the effects of that massage to last, you need to make sure that you have the right posture. You need to make sure that you have the right diet. When I was younger, I would go to a chiropractor and then I would put a really heavy bag on my shoulder and go home and like put it all back the way it was. It was a pointless chiropractic because, it's not going to work. When your spine is out of alignment and somebody puts it back in alignment, or even you yourself put it back in alignment, but it's been out for a while, the muscles are positioned in a way that it's going to be more natural for your body to push it back out of alignment than to stay in alignment. It takes actual careful attention to your body for your spine to stay in alignment after an adjustment. And the same goes for any kind of healing, any kind of therapy, right? Sure, you go to the doctor, you might receive some kind of a prescription, but it's up to you to double check if that prescription is really right for you, if the ingredients in it are right for you. I might be showing some of my bias. I'm a little bit distrustful of, the medical industry. So I will always double and triple check everything and make sure that it's really the right thing for me that I need. And unless I need it, I would rather just try to do it with natural ways. But the best way to do it is, here's the thing about disease and discomfort, pain, sickness. A lot of the time it's your body trying to give you a message. So the body, like, for example, when we're looking at the body with psychosomatic therapy and say I have a lower back pain, right? What's a lower back pain? Well, what chakra is it in? You know, is it in the base chakra, or is it in the sacral chakra, or is it in the solar plexus? And then by studying that chakra, so even looking it up, like what does the chakra do? How you can balance that chakra. And again, in January, starting in January, when the real classes come in, I will give you all of the ways to balance every chakra, from rocks to teas to food to exercises to every single way that you can possibly balance each chakra. And that's why when I divided the materials, actually Chi is one of my former students, and he took the crazy roller coaster ride of an 8-week class that was super, super intense. So much so that people didn't even have time to really reflect on what they were learning. And it was really good class, right? Chi, you liked it. But it was just so much all at once, right? And then it's really hard to remember what you learned in such a roller coaster class because it's so intense and so. And this is the same thing with the other classes that are 10 or 12 hours a day for 10 days, right? That's more immersive. So you would embody a little bit more, but still, it's a bit of a roller coaster. So I've divided everything into chakras. So the first month, we'll start with the first chakra, and we'll talk about that chakra in the face and that chakra in the body. And that chakra, when it comes to posture, exercise, and every other way that chakra can be analyzed. So each month of our studies, or each 4 weeks of our studies, will be about one specific chakra. There will be a manual, there will be homework, and there will be a Q&A. So every second week we have a lecture where I'll teach you all about the face reading or the body reading of that chakra. And every second week we have a Q&A when we practice, and you guys can read each other, or we can have pictures and we'll read the pictures. There'll be all different ways to practice what you're learning. Any questions now? Or we continue? So the purpose of psychosomatic therapy, this is a chapter I wrote, so I should talk about it. The purpose of psychosomatic therapy is to really restore that connection. So as a small child, have you ever held a baby? If you hold a baby, right, that baby is pure energy. That baby is not embarrassed. It's not ashamed. It's not going to be, like if it feels like crying, it's going to cry. If it feels like smiling, it's going to smile. If it feels like smiling right after crying, it's going to do that. It doesn't have any kind of attachment yet. And when you hold a baby, even an animal baby, when you hold a baby, that baby is pure radiant God energy, essentially. And then as the baby grows up, when the first time it hears, no, don't do that. Stop that. Don't jump off of that. You're going to get hurt. All of those things are actually limiting. And it's not that the parent is doing something wrong, because the parent is doing the job that the parent needs to be doing. But the baby itself, like even from my own example, can internalize things wrongly, can reinterpret the messages wrongly, like don't jump, oh, I have to always sit, or something like that. And I know most kids don't do that, but if you really think back to your childhood, there'll be some things that you thought that were a certain way, and then as you grew up, you're like, oh, I totally misunderstood that. That wasn't like that at all. They said that, but it actually was this, right? So when an adult is communicating, they're communicating differently than when the baby understands, or a child understands that communication. So then you have to go back to your own self and to your own body and find all of those things where you had maybe tension, or maybe there is like this kind of thing. Like, I don't know, I don't really trust people, so I'm going to look at them like that. Right? So anytime you see somebody doing that, so what am I doing? What am I doing with my eyeballs? Why am I doing that? So the eyes are the heart chakra. We already mentioned that, because if this is the throat chakra, then the heart chakra is right below, right? So if the eyes are the heart chakra, I'm essentially doing this, protecting myself from your energy. I don't want to take your energy in because I don't trust you. You might hurt me. You might do something wrong. You might say something mean. So I'm going to protect myself. So in the body, it would look something like this, or maybe like this, like putting my hand on my shoulder, or maybe like some kind of a protection, some kind of well, a lot of people will roll their shoulders as well. So that's another way of protecting the heart. When they, instead of standing up straight, their shoulders roll. And you can see that when somebody has a habit, so you can, this is going to be part of your homework for today. When somebody has a habit of rolling their shoulders, they will have this kind of divot right here in their shoulder. So it'll go the bubble thing. And I'm going to mute oh, okay, never mind. So it goes the bubble thing, and then there'll be like an indent, and then it'll go out again. So you can see that they're rolling, right? And I did that too. Like it took me a lot of awareness to straighten out my body, because I would have all sorts of like, I'll show you guys later in the course. I show a picture of me in 2010 when my first picture was taken in psychosomatic therapy, and I don't look like I look now. I look a lot cleaner. The energy looks a lot cleaner now. So you can go and later tonight or whatever, when you get changed for bed, you can take a look at your shoulders and see if you have a tendency to roll forward. And if you do, then that's something to do with your heart. So where is your inner child being held back? Where are you holding yourself back that you can't express your heart? What is in your heart that you want to express that you're stopping? Like, is it like a lot of people, especially in psychosomatic classes, when we were holding them at the expos, right? Like when random people come to a health expo or whatever, a lot of those people would want to express themselves, would want to paint or draw or do poetry or theater or singing or something like that. But they don't allow themselves because they think they have to be a good girl, a good boy, and go to work and make the money to get the food, to get the strength to go to work, to make the money, to get the food, to get the strength to go to work, etc. And so there's no space in that system. If you're looking at that system, the 9-to-5 job system, there's no space for somebody to really start self-expression. So how can you break through that? Like, you can't quit your job and become a bum and walk around with a bowl asking for food. So how are you going to do that? So the thing to do that is to take the first step, the smallest first step. You don't have to take a big step. A lot of people think that in order to change their life, in order to be more express who they really are and stand in their own power, they have to take giant steps. They have to rule nations. They have to, drive the biggest car. But that's not really true, because every single day you have a choice. Every single day when you wake up, you have a new choice, and you have the choice to choose the smallest step towards your dreams. So what are your dreams today? This morning I woke up and I thought, I got this class today. I'm prepared. I know what I'm going to talk about. I have a nice little outline, but that little outline could make a cute little manual, but it's a free class. I don't really want to do it. But it would be so much cooler. My class would be so much cooler if there was a little manual to go with it. So I sat down this morning and I finished the little manual. I fleshed it out so that it became a manual instead of just an outline. So allowing yourself the room to play. I could have been stressed out and could have said, no, you have to be good. You have to do these other things. You have to do your makeup. But you know what? I still had time for everything else. It's still where everything worked out. Everything worked out. So just seeing what you can do to allow, like if you have an idea or an impulse, like, oh, I want to do that. See if you can make the space for your inner child to do that. And if you think about it, and I know I'm really talking about a lot about the inner child. I wasn't planning on it today. I was only a little bit, but it seems like Spirit's moving me to do this. So I'm going to do this, continue this. But like, if you had a 4-year-old in your house, like a little 4-year-old, little girl, little boy, and that 4-year-old child said, oh, I really want to draw today. Would you say, no, we're doing homework today, shut up? Or would you try to go, okay, let's see how we can move things around so we can both do homework and maybe do some drawing or do some whatever you're wanting to do, make sure, find a way so that she or he can have their cake and eat it too, so that you can, really give them like that full experience of life. And so if you think about it, your parents, when you were a child, they really wanted, like, I mean, most parents, I don't know, maybe not all parents, but most parents really want to give their child the best childhood that they can, but they're often judging by themselves. They're judging by their own standards, right? So, oh, I'm going to make sure that he studies a lot because that's the best childhood I can give him. Or I'm going to make sure that he travels a lot because that's the most important thing. Or I'm going to make sure that he goes to all these different restaurants and tries all these different foods. So he's worldly and adaptable. There's all these things that parents think of for a child. But do you think that for yourself? Do you have that kind of an attitude when you think about yourself? I'm going to, I really wish I had a tropical vacation. How can we make that happen for you, darling? Let's see what we can do. What if we can't afford a tropical vacation, but you know what? There's a really great botanical garden in town. What if we just go to that botanical garden and have a mini tropical vacation today? And then we're going to think about a better one tomorrow. Like creating opportunities for yourself to move in the direction that the spirit moves you, even on a small level, instead of saying, oh, no, I can't afford a tropical vacation today. But the botanical garden is free, So there's all these different things that you can do in order to allow yourself to really blossom. And it starts with psychosomatic therapy. Okay, let me see if I have more psychosomatic therapy stuff to tell you guys. Oh, so yeah, the language of the body section. So when you're looking at other people, a lot of the time they'll communicate with their feet and with their shoulders. So you don't really have to have them stand up and examine, where their chakra is and if they have extra flesh or not enough flesh, You don't have to really do that right off the bat. You can just take a quick glance and see, like, somebody's sitting there but their feet are pointing towards the exit. They want to go. If somebody's talking to you, but their shoulders are sort of like this, they don't want to be talking to you. If their heart chakra is not fully facing you, like if somebody's really into you, like think about like falling in love when you first meet that person who's like you're infatuation, right? You're like fully facing each other and you're leaning forward to each other and you're like, oh my God, it's you, I found you. Oh my God, you're so great, right? But think about like a relationship that's on the rocks and shit's going down. Maybe it's about to break up. Their bodies will not be facing each other. They'll always put like a shoulder or an elbow or something in between the other person in order, like something hard, in order to like block the energy and stop or like, have their hands crossed across their chest or something like that. So there's a lot of disconnect language. So even if for the first lecture, this little flea lecture, if that's the only thing that you go and check, how are your shoulders? Are they facing you or are they facing away from you? And then looking at people sitting together, say 4 or 5 people talking, you can examine each one of their shoulders, right? I remember those pictures now, Chi, from the class. We had a bunch of people standing together and we would read every single person, how they related to each other. So we will do that definitely more in the classes, but yeah. Okay, I talked for 40 minutes. I wasn't planning to talk for 40 minutes, but I did. So now it's your guys' turn. Are there questions? Are there comments?
Yeah, so what got me real excited about this was I know that I have a lot of work to do, like on myself, to be better, because that's all I really want is to just be better, better at everything, really. And I don't want to take advantage of people, and I don't want to use NLP and become a snake oil salesman because I already fucking tried that. It doesn't work. And how can I, you know, just really use this type of training to get better in all these areas and not make people turn the other way because I was acting like a snake oil salesman?
Well, but so why are you acting like a snake oil salesman then? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what is it in you that makes you want to be over the top or more than or whatever? Like, why aren't you enough? Because when I imagine a snake oil salesman, I imagine somebody who's like too much and pushy and like, right? So that energy means that there's not enough inside. If you really, really, that means that you're feeling lacking, right? Because if you were full, if you had so many customers that you couldn't possibly sell more, but there's another customer, you'd be like, yeah, I could probably sell you one. I think I still have one left, and your demeanor would be totally different. What if it was somewhere in between? What if you were like, had enough sales that you can survive, but you're always welcoming more customers? That would be a different energy yet, right? You'd be like, oh yeah, you know what, this could totally help you. But if you want to go to the next door guy, that's totally cool too. It's not a problem. Mine's probably better, but you can check it out yourself. Do you want to see that? Do you want to see that evidence? You'd have a much more laid back attitude. But in order to have, like, as long as you're feeling a lacking within yourself, like, oh, I'm not enough, or oh, I'm not going to be able to convince them, or oh, they're not going to listen to me, or something like that, they'll always come out, right? So the first thing is to talk to your inner Tim and to really, really make friends with him. Like, what does Tim want? How does Tim want to communicate with the customer? What was Tim like when he was 4? What can you tell us more about Tim when he was 4? What did he like? What was his favorite thing to do?
Just be outside playing. I was just good at playing, I'll be honest. I liked making people laugh. There you go.
There you go. That's cool. Right? So really reconnecting. So what's the smallest step you can take today to reconnect with little Tim?
Just get definitions on what I want out of life, basically. What do I want in this life?
That sounds very cerebral. Your inner child is very your inner child, I'm gonna learn. Your inner child's very very literal, very it speaks in the very emotional language. I want, I am, I have, so when you're talking about analysis and stuff, that's not your inner child. That's like some kind of a mind thing. So step out of the mind and tell me about your inner child. Tell me what you're going to do to help him. What if you just tried to tell a joke today to your kids? And even if it bombs, well, so, if you like to be really funny when you were a child, what if you could be more funny when you're an adult? What if you could be funny as a snake oil salesman? But as long as there is like insecurities, like you really have to fill your own cup, fill your own heart with your own love, right? Yeah. And I think, like, I mean, I could be psychoanalyzing you, but I don't want to do that today.
Well, I already know you, so that's I wouldn't feel offended by anything because
no, but I'm also trying to like keep that deep analysis to the classes. But like, okay, so when I look at your lips, right? Your lips are your expression, how you speak, whatever, and they're very sacral. Your lips actually, this whole is sacral. So this is like your womb of the mouth, your mouth, right? And it's very tightly closed, right? So I would say maybe for you, a good exercise would be to pay compliments to other people. Just walk around for a week and tell everybody how great they are. Wow, I really like the way you do that. You're really good at that. Oh, you really look good in that. I really love your hair. That's a really good food, whatever. Just like pay compliments and see if this area of your mouth relaxes. Right? Allowing yourself that expression and movement of energy. And so as you move energy out towards others and you start paying them compliments, it's going to be so much easier to pay yourself compliments too, because you'll be in a habit of paying compliments. I know I've paid you many compliments about your guitar playing and all that, but how can you so that's, you expect that. But what about how you look? When is the last time you looked at yourself in the mirror and said, Tim, you handsome devil?
Right. I don't know. I can't answer that.
Just do it. Just go look at yourself and tell yourself you're a handsome devil. That's all. But maybe don't use the word devil, but just create that connection. Start raising yourself. What does Tim need? Tim's always taking care of everybody else, but what does Tim need for himself?
Yeah, true.
There you go. So that's all, that's your homework. Pay compliments to other people,
Got it.
tell yourself you're handsome, and tell some jokes.
Excellent guidance.
Nice.
I have a comment.
Yeah,
I really enjoy what you're teaching, and then based on what I've learned from you earlier, it's given me a set of tools, to work with myself, and yeah, what a journey since heard you first time, and yeah, I'm just excited to see what more to come, and yeah, it's really equipped me with something I can do, and on a daily basis, and yeah, wonderful.
yeah, and then slowly everything starts straightening out. As you tell yourself more compliments, your shoulders go back, your posture improves, you become more dignified because you're more fulfilled. Because if you're always waiting for other people to recognize your efforts and stuff, that's probably not going to happen. So you have to create an environment within yourself that your recognition and honor and achievement, all of that is really alive within you.
Yeah, definitely. I'm more aware of my inner work, or my the pattern of my thoughts, and then yeah, be aware of what I choose to think, and yeah, allowing myself to think. And
But so it's been a couple of years since you've taken the whirlwind class. How, you say it's stayed with you, but at the same time you still want more checking in, right? Like reminder.
Definitely.
Nice. I appreciate you being here, Chi.
Glad to be here.
Anybody else?
Yes, I have a question.
Okay.
When you are good with your inner child, everything is fine. You think is fine. Everything is great. But other people, they don't appreciate it. What's going on?
That's because you get
What can you do?
Okay, so think about this. Like in a small village, there's a bunch of young girls, that are poor in the village, and one of the girls, their parents win the lottery. The other girls are not going to appreciate the fact that she now has all these cool clothes and a pony.
Mhm.
Like they might, like some of them, the really clean-hearted ones might be really happy for her, but most of the people around her will be like, well, what are you doing? Why are you taking more care of yourself? See, the thing is, okay, so what could you be accused of? You could be accused of being selfish. Oh, Paola, you're so selfish. You're so selfish, Paola. So what's the answer to that? Do you mean that I should care more about what you think than what I think?
Yeah.
Like, who's being selfish? You have your own thoughts, and now you're trying to steal my thoughts and make them about you too. You think about you, and I'll think about me, and everybody will be happy, and we can play together as children. We can enjoy this beautiful playground that God has given us. But if everybody, like if other people are micromanaging what you're supposed to be thinking, wearing, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. It's really hard sometimes, even if you give everything, for others, for your coworkers, for your family. But sometimes you can give more.
But why don't you give more to yourself? Like what benefit do you get from giving to others when you're yourself hungry?
Yeah.
Just
True.
because like the society demands that of you, the society expects you to be a good girl and help Susie Q, even though you need time out.
Yeah.
You just have to like this is part of the programming that this class breaks, because we've been programmed to, be successful and listen to your mother and father, and yeah, respect your mother and father, but you don't have to listen to them.
You don't have to listen. Yeah.
Right? You can still, be nice to your mother, like, but she has her own life. And the thing is, your mother has her own little 4-year-old that she should be mothering, because you're over 20 years old now. Her job with you is done. With any one of us that is over 20 years old, it's up to you now. It's not up to and with mothers, what they tend to do, and my mother included, they tend to micromanage their children's lives because they don't want to look at their own. Like, my mom was like, oh my God, you're feeding street dogs. How are you doing that? Why are you doing that? And I said, you know what? Go write a book. You've been wanting to write a book for a while. Don't worry about what I'm doing with the street dogs. Go do something with yourself. And she's just like, oh, well, you know what? And she did. She ended up writing a few chapters. So, worry about yourself. Don't worry about me. I am doing my me, and I'm doing what I feel that is the will of divine within me, and I feel it's important. And if you don't think that's important, you should do something else. But you shouldn't be telling me what I should be doing.
Thanks for that, Agnieszka, because I struggle with that boundary with my family a lot.
Why did they tell you who to be and what to do?
Yeah, and a lot of it's good intention of oh hey, this company's hiring our hometown or whatever. But a lot of it is kind of that micromanaging, um, especially with my mom.
Yeah, I used to have a partner who expected me to work at the city hall. And I don't know why the city hall, but it was always the city hall. And every argument ended with, I wish you would just go and get a job at the city hall. People who worked at the city hall told him that I was not appropriate for the city hall. I would not be happy. The city hall would not be happy. Nobody would be happy with that arrangement. My personality does not fit the culture of the city hall. He didn't care. He wanted me to work at the city hall like his sister. His older sister works at the city hall and she's very happy. So I need to work at the city hall because I'll be happy too. But that,
Because he thinks he's dating his sister.
or he was also the kind of person that wanted everything right. Like we always went to the same restaurants, we always ordered the same thing because you already know that it's good. Why would you order something that's not? But that's not my way. And I'm totally cool if that's what you want to do. I don't care. But I want to, move to Mexico with 6 suitcases and a dog. It's not the same thing. After I already did, that is my 3rd time because I already moved to Canada and then I moved to Quebec. I know it's like a different country. And then I moved to Mexico. So, adventurous lifestyle. Not the city hall lifestyle. Tim, you're muted, you said something, but you're muted, Tim.
I said, hell no. You're not going to work at City Hall. I didn't say hell. I said the other word, though.
I did work at the welfare office one time when I was really young, and it was a very weird experience. Very similar to City Hall. They ate a lot of donuts. A lot of donuts. Everybody was overweight in that. They only worked 4 hours a day and they ate donuts the other 4 hours. It was a crazy experience. It was in Canada. Anyway, anybody else? Howard or Noel, do you guys have any questions before we shut down this popsicle stand?
No questions. Sorry, go ahead.
No questions for me. I just really appreciated everything you said. It's definitely opened up some further avenues of curiosity and exploration. So looking forward to the next one.
Nice. And as long as you make sure you're on the little mailing list, on my website, there's that form you set to be updated. I will email you guys the manual tonight after the 2nd class because all the classes are mixed on my website. Like there's this class and then there's another class in the evening for the Americas. I don't want to send them the manual before we do the lecture. I want them to receive it at the same time. So after this evening's class is concluded, then I will be mailing the first manual to everybody who signed up.
Okay, cool. I need to do the paperwork. I will fill in the form after this.
Nice. Ownyourbodylanguage.com. I'm sure.
Awesome. I'm on the website. It's open on my browser, so I'll do it straight after this. Thank you.
Nice. All right, Noelle, you were going to ask something.
Oh, no, I was going to ask something, but I was just kind of going to say what Howard said is like giving me a lot of food for thought. I think I could definitely stand to do a better job of raising my inner child. So yeah, definitely appreciating it so far.
Well, having an external child about the same age as your inner child can give you a lot of food for thought because as you're nurturing your actual toddler, you can still remember how you're neglecting and locking under the stairs your inner toddler.
Yeah, yeah. Though I've been doing less of that since autonomy, so here's the here's moving in the right direction.
Nice. In the light direction.
Yeah, in the light direction.
Did you guys see that? I put that in the manual, growing in the light direction.
It's a good one.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. A little nod to Richard. Marshall, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, thank you for doing this. This is great. You gave me some new ideas. So I do this thing sometimes. It's usually when I'm talking with strangers about contentious or potentially contentious subjects. It's like a little mirroring trick, don't try to be manipulative, but just to have open conversation. People don't realize what they're doing sometimes. So the mirroring trick is, when you come to a point where you can tell they have inner contention, they'll close their arms. But now, because of this class, I'm going to start doing that with my eyebrows. If I see them furrow. So what you do is you with the arms, you close your arms when you see them close their arms. Not right away, because that will be obvious. But you'll close them a little bit after you talk to them when they're closed arms, and then you open them. And sometimes they'll mirror back and open their arms, and then they'll be more open to what you have to say. So I'm going to try the same thing with the
Yeah,
eyebrows now.
that's like building rapport. Yeah. Is the next one
Yeah.
December 4th? There isn't one next week. I'm sure I said there is one next week, Tim. Sorry, I'm just responding to the chat.
I'm just going by the original 6-week schedule you put out.
No, there's Your Face is a Map, November 27th.
Oh, my bad. I skipped one. Thanks for catching that. I did catch that. I'll go ahead and I'll repost.
December 4th seems like it's such a long time from now. Or did they really split it like that?
Whoops. I thought Thanksgiving there wasn't, but
Well, so you see, you guys can watch a replay if you're at Thanksgiving, or you can come to the daytime one. But like Thanksgiving is only for Americans, and there's so many people from other countries, that don't have Thanksgiving. So.
But we can celebrate. Why not?
Yeah, we can celebrate by learning about your face being a map. Nice. All right. If you guys want, let's what I can do is I can thank everybody for attending, and then I can stop the recording. If somebody wants to have a more detailed question or whatever, we can address that at that time. So I'm just going to thank everybody watching the replay. Thank you very much. And have a wonderful day. And I'll see you on November 27th. Face is a Map.